Vanessa, just looking at the synopsis of this book, just looking at what it is all about, you talk about this relationship that I suppose defined a lot, had a big impact on your life and yourself and those around you. But you talk about things like childhood bullying, being dark-skinned. Just tell us how you've tied all of those things up and what role they played in your experience.
I think my experience during my childhood, where I was bullied for being dark-skinned and, you know, where I was ostracized by people within my own community because I was dark-skinned, I think almost primed me, for want of a better word, almost primed me for the role of being an abused woman. I always felt unattractive. I always felt unworthy. And anybody who's grown up in the Indian community will understand this concept of colorism, how absolutely vile and ugly and how traumatic it is. So here I meet this guy who, for all intents and purposes at the time, was everything I wasn't. He was famous, he was good-looking, he was fair-skinned. This was the guy who could have his pick of any woman, and he chose to be with me. And the reason that I brought in the childhood bullying, because it played, I think, a very critical role in me staying in this relationship for as long as I did. 5 years and 7 months, you know.
Sum up this relationship for us. I mean, it started, it's way back in 1999. You know, just why you've actually decided to write about it. What about it has made you want to write this book?
Uveka, I endured a lot of trauma, and I don't think a lot of people could even begin to comprehend the depths of that trauma, the extent of that trauma. I think some people thought, okay, well, I was just getting a slap here and there or whatever.
Oh, that's definitely not the case.
It's not the case.
It was bloody, it was bruising, it was...
He did some pretty despicable things to me. I just started my job at ETV. I was barely into my job a month, and my face was so badly disfigured that I could not go on camera. And I had to, you know, call my then editor and tell him. And the pain of it never quite left me.
I suppose physical and emotional.
Yes.
Because what you describe.
Yes, I got swept up with this job, the highs of this job. You wouldn't understand for, you know, more than anybody else what a thrilling job this is. So there was no room to sit and mourn or grieve or think about the things that had happened. And I needed to do that. It's followed me all these years. You know, I started writing during my second pregnancy because I'd wake up from bad dreams. You know, it had manifested itself over the years into something quite ugly. I'd be constantly angry. I'd, you know, slip into this depression. I'd wake up from a sleep feeling desperately sad or angry, and I couldn't quite understand why. And I have these recurring dreams of being back at the SABC, and it was very traumatic. And I started writing to get it out of me.
Yeah, and you've had, what, 3 kids by the time this had happened? You're married, happily married.
Happily married.
To someone else, let's make that quite clear. Happily married to someone else.
Yes.
3 children, and yet it never left you.
It will never leave me.
The joys of all of that stuff.
It will never leave me. It doesn't matter what degrees of success you have. It doesn't matter how you fill your life, what things you fill your life with, the people you surround yourself with. And I'm supported by amazing and beautiful people. My husband,
I can only imagine.
It's been such a revelation, and I think that for me has had such a profound impact because I've realized this is how I should have been treated, you know.
So take us, what made you leave? What you endured it for a little more than 5 years, I think it was.
5 years, 7 months.
Why? What was the moment that said, I've got to go? How did it end?
It ended with me face down in the car park of the SABC, blacked out. I don't know if it was for seconds or minutes. I don't know how long I'd been out for. I woke up. I was, you know, at that point when I woke up, I didn't realize my face was so badly disfigured until I walked to the car and looked into the, you know, into the little mirror. My forehead was bulging, the skin of my nose was ripped off. I just couldn't do it anymore. I just couldn't do it anymore. I was not even in love with him, but I stayed out of this crazy obligation.
And it was a self-esteem issue.
Yes, yes, he'd whittled away at everything, you know. And this was my first boyfriend. This is the first person I'd been intimate with. I was compelled to stay with him, you know. My society and my community dictated that this person that I have now been intimate with, I must stay with him.
And it seems to me like he made it difficult. Like he became the torment and then became a child when you tried to, and you were left comforting him from what I read at one stage when you tried to leave.
You see, it really was the cliched abusive relationship. You know, he'd hit me, I'd break up with him, and then he'd come back apologizing, crying, promising never to do it again. It really was cliched. There was nothing special. There was nothing different about it, you know, if you compare it to any other abusive relationship. And you, of course, you end up feeling bad because you've triggered this anger. And it was always, I love you so much. I love you so much, you know, and I can't get through to you. And you drive me to this. And that's what you think, you know, God, this man loves me so much. I drive him to this.
Was he a bully or was he sick? Does he have a problem?
You know,
does he know it's him? Does he, the person, have you heard back after writing?
I've not heard from him, but I do not doubt for 1 second that he is aware that this book is out.
Yes.
It's been quite public. Social media has been quite a buzz with it. We have mutual friends. You know, the media circle in South Africa is pretty small. It's pretty intimate. So there's no ways that he does not know about it. I do not name him, obviously for legal reasons, but he knows who it is. People who worked with us at the time would know who it is. And it's quite okay because I think a lot of people, I'm starting to find out now, were aware. And obviously in the process leading up to publication, I had to get statements from people to corroborate my story.
So what do you think? When you look back, was he a bully? Did he have his own self-esteem problems? Was he just a madman? Was he sick?
Uveka, I think you'd have to be a pretty damaged human being to do the things he did to me. Because you've got to ask yourself, what sort of a man derives his strength and power from a woman who's bleeding, who's battered, and who's weeping? You must be a pretty damaged person to do that. There must be something pretty rotten within your soul. So, you know, there are times, if I'm honest with you, that I actually genuinely feel sorry for him. And please don't crucify me for saying that, but I do. He's a broken human being.
Well, you knew him. You were with him, so you would.
Yes.
You would, and you could see the back and forth that you did then, trying to stand up for yourself, but then trying to comfort him. From what I've read here. But the process of writing this book, obviously cathartic for you. It's a journey still. I'm sure it doesn't mean it's the end now that you've written the book and you're all of a sudden feeling better. But what do you want to say to other women with this book? That you, Vanessa Govender, somebody whose face we saw for years on television, who went into dangerous situations, did amazing stories. What do you want to say to them, you know, that makes us different from anybody else's story? And I know that you are saying it's my story and I've suffered as many other people have, but your story, who do you want to touch? What's your message?
You know, I think for me the most important thing is, and it's not just, you know, it's not just aimed towards victims. It's aimed to the people around them, their families, their friends, their work colleagues. Get involved. Make it your business, because abuse is your business. And until you understand the psyche and the emotional state of an abused woman, you can never fully appreciate why she stays and why she keeps going back. She's broken inside. He's broken her completely. She's dependent on him. And it becomes imperative for the people around her to stand up for her, to challenge this person. Here's the thing. We are so relentless in our pursuit of racists. Okay, we see this on social media every day. Find them, track them down, bring them to book. But these are men who are maiming, who are raping, who are killing women. And we're all just sitting back, not my business, not my problem. Sorry, that attitude is not going to cut it anymore. You are under a moral and social obligation to get involved. So that is what I hope to get out.
It can happen to anyone also.
Yes,
no
exactly.
matter what you're seeing on the surface.
Exactly.
Thanks very much for your time. I wish you all the luck. I'm going to finish it because I've only just started it recently, but I know how the story ends. But I want to see how you lived it. Thanks, Vanessa.
Thank you very much.